All right, y'all. Today we're gonna look at this boudoir photography business, see if they have BSS with their local or their city Google search here in Vacaville, California. All right, so we're in the GBC universe, taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city, and our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we're rising, that means we're attracting, we're bringing in people across the entire intent ladder, high intent to low intent. If we're falling, we're missing peeps somewhere along the intent ladder. We're not successfully bringing them in, or even making them aware we exist. So, BSS, focusing here on this, this profile, this brand, focusing on the highest intent buyers, searching right now for boudoir photo shoots right in their city, social search, and Google search. Then our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, focusing on BLCS. Right now, we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads, and that's actually going to be the lowest intent people, in any location, but it's going to have the highest number of them. All right, so BSS is boudoir search sameness. That is when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And as a result, if we got 0 slots, we're basically dead, kind of dead in the water for on page 2 or deeper. And that's because we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only Google searches. So they never even go to page 2. So we care about this 80% cohort. This is the bulk of the market. So if we're in 0 slots on page 1, we're invisible to them because they ain't clicking any page deeper at all. Now, if we got 1 slot on page 1, it's also as boudoir search sameness because we're looking the same as every other boudoir photographer. Everyone else on page 1's got most likely 1 link. So anyone going down the Google search, they're clicking us, they're clicking first link, second link, third link, all 10 links, opening up everyone, contacting everyone, getting a quote from everyone, price shopping everyone. And so boudoir search sameness, not good for us. Now, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal, extremely common, but to have that few number of slots page 1 of Google is not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, which many people know about, which is market saturation, and 2, which basically nobody knows about, is the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, it's when someone gets a new iPhone, all of a sudden they're throwing up, Google My Business profile, Google My Business profile, basically increasing and throwing up their website, competing more for page 1 dominance, or they get a new camera, then they start posting them on Facebook groups. So basically they're increasing the supply of boudoir photographers where the number of buyers in the market remains fixed, which means it's making it harder for every current boudoir photographer to get clients. A big tsunami when that happened was when we had COVID. So when we had COVID, massive, when people lost their jobs, they still need to earn an income. So a lot of them came out as boudoir photographers, saturating the market, making it harder for all the current sellers. Now, the second deeper root cause is the false belief of page 1 equality. This is what I've seen is the number 1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. It's basically kind of this false belief is assuming that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, as a result, we, if you got 1 slot, okay, got 1 slot on page 1 and get some more market saturation. All right, we're pushed down onto, basically we're pushed on to, page 2, but that's fine because every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots on page 1. So I guess it's not my time anymore. Hopefully they, they shut down their website. So maybe I got a chance to go back on page 1. But no, that is 100% incorrect. Google actually wants to give as many page one slots to the boudoir photographer that wants as many as they'll put in the effort to acquire. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page one on Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page one on Google in only 10 days. And so I know for a fact Google will give the slots to those who truly want them. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because yeah, dude, basically we're either got 0 slots on page one, so on page 2 or deeper. And again, approximately 80% of searchers. The bulk of the market ain't never going to see us because they're page one only. And then for 1 slot on page one, we don't stand out. We're not different. We're being price shopped against everyone who also has, 1 slot on page one. So what's the solution? We got the solution. BSS tree with social search saturation, SQ'd methodology. We know this is a solution because we invented it. Again, this is what I used to go from 0 out of 10 slots on page one to 9 out of 10 slots on page one in 10 days. Google page one search. And this is actually the only solution I've seen that can successfully fight back against market saturation. Basically, we saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, so we show up there. And once we saturate there, the outcome is actually that flows into those results actually flow onto Google page one, or Google. And if we get enough signals, obviously that puts us a higher chance Google puts us at Google page one. So the SQ'd methodology, to use it, we have to accept page one equality as a false belief, which kind of breaks that brain barrier to, okay, what's the solution we can use? SQ'd methodology. And it's the only thing that I've seen that actually can successfully fight back against market saturation for boudoir photographers, because imagine we're in San Jose, California. It's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website. We're one of the boudoir photographers. Everyone's trying to be ranked page one Google, but we employ SQ'd methodology to the max, where we're taking up the first 300 slots for social search on all the platforms for our highest intent buyer keywords, which then flows onto Google. And let's say we're the first 300 slots on Google for our highest intent keywords as well. Well, that means literally the first 30 pages is filled up with only us on Google organic search. And so when we have that, buyers got to go to page 31 to essentially find any other competitors, and no one's going to page 31. So buyers can essentially only find us. So even if there's max a ton of boudoir photographers, market gets more and more saturated, we stay dominating page one, which is actually where the bulk of searches stop. 80% of them, approximately 80% of them. So whose business is growing? Our business is growing. Whose business is disappearing? Everyone else. Even though the market's super saturated. Now, once you're with SQ'd methodology, we have page one visibility. Page one visibility is getting at least 2 out of 10 slots on page one, where we're actually looking different. We do have a GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 though, 3 slots out of 10 slots. And once we actually achieve that, we get an extra bonus, which is for every new slot we take up on page one, we're actually kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. So this is kind of an extra bonus of ranking on page one, is we're actually kicking a competitor off page one, and we already know approximately 80% of searchers never even go to page two. So we effectively make our competitors invisible. But we do want to hit the GBC minimum of at least 3 out of 10. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we don't have 0 out of 1. We, 0 slots on page one. We don't have 1 slot on page one. We do not have 2 slots on page one. Well, 2 slots on page one means we don't have BSS, but that means we have not hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one. And we want to hit that because we actually if we got 3 out of 10 on page one, we're kicking 2 competitors off, or maybe even 3. Also, we're going to look way more visible than simply having the people with 1 link, and very rarely will there be someone else with two links, but we'll look even better than them as well. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got to get visible. So this is our universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by kind of the dual horns of market saturation and page one equality, the false belief of page one equality. And we achieve, or we utilize S-cube methodology. That's our solution. We achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. So my results using this is my own S-cubed methodology for myself. I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So came in here, gonna look at the organic, and got organic slot 1, Instagram, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. But we got 9 out of 10 slots on Google here, simply from utilizing our S-cubed methodology. And this went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. So now main event here, we're going to look at this boudoir photographer of Vacaville, California. Might have to copy this, bring it over if I don't have the tab up. So we're going to see if this boudoir photography business has BSS for their local and city search. Actually, their local and city search is actually the same in this case. All right. There's a Vacaville. All right, so going at the organic. Nope. 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 There we go. We got one. And let's see. Nope. 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 All right, so we got 1 out of 10. So, in Vacaville, where is this place? Stockton. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's between San Fran and Sacramento. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 slots for Vacaville, California. So yes, we do have BSS, or this boudoir photography business does have BSS, boudoir search sameness, and we have not met the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google, and that's recommended because, dude, if we're 3 out of 10 local and 3 out of 10 local search, 3 out of 10 city search, page 1, we can basically guarantee we're not disappearing. We're either treading water or we're growing, most likely growing. That's why we want to hit 3 out of 10. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, you realize now you got BSS, you do your local search, you do your city search. You now understand what the false belief of page 1 equality is, or a lot of people have never even thought about it before, kind of accept it as normal. So there wasn't really, again, a phrase or a word to describe it. But now people are like, oh yeah, that definitely doesn't make any sense to automatically assume page 1 equality is normal or kind of default. So yeah, definitely a false belief. And you understand market saturation, how it's been, slowly, people get new iPhones, new gear. But now you see AI. And you see AI actually putting people out of work, taking people's jobs. And so you see most likely there's going to be an additional increase in boudoir photographers caused by AI, people losing their jobs, having to generate income. So it's not people only get a new iPhone or only get a new camera now. There's going to be a mass, see AI, you believe there's going to be a massive influx of actually new people entering as boudoir photographers, more supply of boudoir photographers fighting for the same number of buyers. And you see that's coming, and you assume it's only ever going to keep increasing as AI takes more and more jobs. There's more and more boudoir photographers being forced to enter the market to earn income. And you're saying, okay, well, ads, you pay for ads. They work, they don't work, they're not permanent. You stop spending, they stop existing. Ads is only like, text ads, one slot, local service ad, one slot. If you can even get approved for local service ads. And there's no real staying momentum there. If you stop paying, it stops existing, you stop existing. And so your CNS cubed methodology, you can see it can actually give momentum to having more links on page one, basically as many links as we want to put the work in to acquire. Has much more momentum than ads. And so you're seeing S cubed methodology like, boom, this is what I want. I want to achieve page one visibility in preparation of all the kind of new boudoir photographers going to enter the market because AI is going to be taking tons of people's jobs. And you want to make sure you stay a visible boudoir photographer, even more visible, achieve boudoir search visibility, hit the GBC minimum, 3 out of 10 for local search and city search. And you also want the extra bonuses on the back end from using S cubed methodology, which is, we're basically creating thematic keyword pillars around our brand for social search to know and understand, Google search to know and understand, and for all the AIs to know and understand, which means every new thing we rank for, or new keyword or more of the same keyword that we rank more and more for, it's building this thematic keyword pillar around our name, around our brand, which increases the probability we get recommended for AI search. AI overview at the top of Google and AI search like ChatGPT search, searching best boudoir photographer in whatever, Fayetteville, Arkansas. ChatGPT search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search, Claude search, Perplexity search. And we're literally seeing, so you're seeing that. And the final thing you're seeing is, man, if someone else hops onto this in your city first, kind of takes the first action, works with me on it, then, my plan right now is to only work with one person per city. So you'd have to recreate S cubed methodology, re-engineer our proprietary methodology. So you have to figure out how to do it right first. And then if we're already working with someone else, you'd have to kind of, if you equal our output, when you'd have to do it correctly, then you would kind of maintain a laggard place behind us while we're eating up those page one Google search, getting the thematic keyword pillars for our brand for AI search to be recommended, because more and more search is going to AI. Dude, I haven't done a standard Google search in like maybe a year. I use the AI mode. I literally don't try to go look for anything, type on links to read anything. But basically, to build up that momentum, actually to pass us, you'd have to exceed our capacity all on your own. And so you're like, screw that, I'd rather be the first mover, prep myself for more boudoir photographers coming in because of AI taking people's jobs, start building up my momentum, back in momentum AI search, kick my competitors out or potential future competitors out by dominating the highest intent keywords. Because you need to do this in order to become the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. Then shoot me a DM when I open up for new patient intake. The hospital is not open right now. The hospital is closed. But when I do open up for new patient intake, shoot me a DM and we will see if you qualify for using S cubed methodology.